Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Smith and this is my mitigation strategy. So diving right in, we're going to go right into how we gain access to the system. So real quick, these are the steps we went through in some following slides. I do have some more examples. But the first thing that we did, we searched and found the IP address for the Chioptrix system using an nmap command. After we did an ifconfig command, so we looked up the address of our own operating system, we found that we were operating off of 192.168.56.104. So here we wanted to add in. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Smith, and this is a presentation over how to gain access to our system and our mitigation strategies. Moving forward, we're going to dive right into how we gain access to the system. The first thing that we did was research and find the IP address of the Chioptrix machine or the Chioptrix system. And we did that by running an nmap command and searching the subnet 192.168.56.0/24. We ran that command and we found that the Chioptrix IP address is 192.168.56.105. So we used that moving forward, and we utilized the Metasploitable machine to help identify which of the hosts Chioptrix is operating on, which came back as Unix, and the version is Samba 2.2.1a. After we found out the version, all we had to do was a simple Google search. We used our search engine. We researched Samba 2.2.1a in the search engine, and we discovered that it has a remote code executable or execution vulnerability. So what we did is we copy and pasted all of that. We threw it into the Metasploitable machine, and what we did there was it allowed us basically to now have root access to Chioptrix. When we threw that whole code into Kali Linux into our terminal, and then we ran the following command: the point or dot /10 dash b 0192.168.56.105, which again is the IP address for Chioptrix. We were able to gain root access to the system, and doing so, it allows us, since we had root access, that's a higher privilege. We were able to create a new user and password within the system, and then we were able to, on the back end, log in to the Chioptrix machine, therefore hacking the machine. So a couple of pictures I wanted to throw out here. Here we ran an ifconfig at the top to find the IP address that we're operating on, and then I ran that nmap command down right in the around the middle here, and that is where we found the the IP address for Chioptrix, the Chioptrix level 1. Excuse me. After doing so, we ran the Metasploitable to identify the host, which was Unix Samba 2.2.1. And as you can see right around here, down at the bottom, the very last portion is where we ran that command. And then after looking it up, which this here is a screenshot of the search engine, and it's the website that we found. And as you can see at the top of the website, remote code execution. We copied that entire page, threw it into the Metasploitable, and we were able to gain access or become essentially a root user of the Chioptrix machine. After doing so, we ran our command, allowing us, like I said, to have root access. This here, the list is longer than it needs to be, but that essentially shows us all of what we can do now as a root user within the machine. A lot of controls, a lot of possible vulnerabilities now that we have that much control, that much privilege, I should say. Finally, we were able, this is to prove that we created a new user and password within the system, and then we logged into the Chioptrix machine, which is what this screenshot here shows. At the bottom right, you can see that we were able to officially log in under the username Smith, my last name, and then my password as well. So jumping right in, there's a couple of mitigation techniques we can utilize. And from research, we want to focus on proper privilege account management. This ensures that all privileged users or accounts are secure and operating properly within the network. We want to minimize the number of privileged accounts. We want to reduce the amount of users that actually have privilege within the system. This just lowers the possibility of a hack or a security breach happening. And then also we want to implement the least privilege rule, which this means every user is given the amount of privilege that they need to do their job. So if someone does not need access to Active Directories, they're not going to have access or administrative access. They're going to have access to exactly what they need in order to perform the functions of their job, the tasks that they were hired to do. Next, we want to monitor user behavior. This can be very hard to do manually. So what we can do is deploy a user and entity behavior analytics tool, and that will automatically, once that's deployed, that automatically supervise and monitor all user behavior on the system. Then we want to implement strong password policies. This one is very simple, but it is so impactful. We want to ensure user passwords are hard to guess and unique. Too many times people use the same password, something very easy to guess. Just like when you do reconnaissance, people can find out birthdays, your loved ones' names or birthdays, your favorite color, vacation spots, your dog's name. People can find easy information just by passive reconnaissance, and that typically that can lead to a hack, and that can lead to an account being hacked. We want to also implement multi-factor authentication, which this provides an extra layer of security. Even when strong passwords fail, multi-factor authentication backs it up and provides that extra layer of security to prevent any further hacks into an account. Next, we want to educate users. Often users are the weakest link. It's human negligence. We want to train users on how to perform tasks in a secure manner and how to keep their own accounts properly secure. So with those mitigation techniques discussed, I want to go over some taxonomy of attacks. Here we have a list of a couple of attacks that we have seen in the last 30 days. You have a buffer overflow, privilege escalation, rootkits, Trojans, backdoors, viruses, return-oriented programming, and then common social engineering attacks. So jumping into buffer overflow, the definition of a buffer overflow is it occurs when the volume of data exceeds storage capacity of the memory buffer. So when data is too much and the memory buffer is being overloaded, this is where we see a buffer overflow, and it typically results from malformed inputs or a failure to allocate enough storage space. Next, we have privilege escalation. And this is an attack designed to gain unauthorized access to a system by exploited human behavior and design flaws. This is all about taking advantage of human negligence and the vulnerabilities within coding. This attack is used by hackers to move deeper within the network and essentially perform more reconnaissance. They have more privilege, they have more access to more knowledge and information within the system. They can get more information, and which can be more damaging for an attack. Then we have rootkits. This is a type of malware that provides a hacker control over a computer without the user even being aware, and they also don't even need a user's permission. This is a set of tools that gives a user the highest privilege within a system, which is very dangerous. Just like from the example when we gained access to the Kyotrix system, with root access, we were able to add a user and password and hack into the system, the machine itself. It's very dangerous, mainly because it's designed to hide a hacker's presence. And when the hacker is not detected, it can be very damaging in an attack. Next, we have Trojans, which this is a type of malware that downloads onto a computer and disguises itself as legitimate application. That's why it's called a Trojan. It's a disguise. Users think that it's legit. They think it's professional. They think it's approved. And all of a sudden, it's downloading malicious viruses onto the computer. And this is often done through social engineering attacks, phishing emails, SMS text messages. We'll get more into that. But hackers will use malicious code. Basically, it is protected, or it's camouflaged as legitimate software. And then human negligence likes to click on those links, that malicious code, and then the computer system now has a malicious virus. Next, we have backdoors. The definition, it's any method that is used to get around normal security measures and gain high-level user access. This can be used to steal personal and financial data, install malware, and hijack devices entirely. So this is essentially as simple as it seems. It's not going in the front door of a system. It's finding any and all measure to go around the security system within the network and gaining access to that network. And again, a backdoor can be utilized through a social engineering attack. Then we have viruses. It's a computer program that can copy itself and infect an entire computer system without any permission or detection. Viruses are very dangerous. They spread very fast. Just like a medical virus that a human would get, we get very sick, it can spread. This often happens within computer systems as well. It can also corrupt or delete data. Viruses use emails to spread itself and erase all information on a hard disk. Once a virus gets onto your computer, it can do so much damage so fast. Then we have return-oriented programming. This is a security exploit technique used to execute code on a target system. And by taking control, an attacker can control the flow of trusted software running on the computer and manipulate that trusted software in their own desire and use that in malicious ways to hack and gain more information of sensitive data within the network. Finally, we have common social engineering attacks. This has a broad range of malicious attacks that are accomplished through human interaction. So the very key and consistent factor in a social engineering attack is human interaction. It is more of, if I'm a hacker, I'm deploying a social engineering attack, I've got to send it out somewhere. Someone's got to click on the link, respond to a message, go to a website. They have to have that interaction. So a hacker uses manipulation to trick users into making major security mistakes. Simply put, they send out an email, and that email looks as legitimate as it could be coming from a very professional source, maybe even from a source well known. However, there's always common flaws within those emails, but to an uneducated individual, they'll click on that link and that'll lead into malware essentially being downloaded onto that system. It comes in many different forms, such as phishing, spear phishing, which is more targeted on an individual, whaling, which is when a social engineering attack or a phishing attack is targeted toward a major individual. So, for example, a CEO of a company. That's a big, high level individual that is being geared or being focused on in this attack. And then there's even SMS phishing, which is done over the cell phone, a simple text message. And that, again, a text message has a link. You click on that link, and some viruses will then infect your device. So that's to wrap up. That showed us how to gain access to a system, the Kyotrix system machine specifically. That showed us mitigation steps and mitigation techniques that we will take in order to prevent privilege escalation. And then I wanted to review taxonomy of different various attacks that we've seen and are going to see moving forward. Here's a list of the references that I was able to utilize to gain some information and knowledge. I appreciate your time. Thank you.